Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm excited to be here tonight for the Crafter's Castle Challenge blog. I'm going to be showcasing a product from TaylorMade Cards for You, the sponsor of this month's challenge blog. Let's get started. So for this month, the members of the design team were each permitted to select something from the TaylorMade Cards for You digital kit shop. So I went to the TaylorMade Cards for You website and I found this really cute Passport to Paris set, which includes all of the digital elements pictured here. And for my project, I've created a mini album. Of course, the theme is Valentine's Day love, and I thought a Passport to Paris mini album would be really cute, and I thought I could incorporate just love and romantic things because it is Paris. And I also fell in love with these digital images. And to start creating my mini album, so the first thing you'll need will be 8 pieces of paper, whatever color you'd like. I chose cardstock that is 8.5 by 11, and my color is light pink. I'm going to trim it like this at 6 1/4. Then I'm going to rotate it and I'm going to score it at 6 1/4. I'm going to do that with all 8 of these sheets. Once I have all 8 of those sheets trimmed and scored, I'm going to assemble them in pairs of 2. The arrow is going to be pointing to the right. When you align your pages together, you want the arrow pointed to the right. I put glue on one and I left it like a U. So I left the top open so that there would be a pocket at the top of the page. So that's what I meant about I left the arrows pointing to the right. Those are the flaps basically pointing to the right. And to me it looks like an arrow if you open it. Now I'm just going to go ahead and glue 2 together. So there'll be 4 altogether and each of them will have 2 pages. Now these leftover pieces that were left over when we trimmed it at 6 1/4, I'm going to trim these leftover pieces at 6 1/4. And then I'm going to score them. I'm going to score them at 1 inch and then at 1 1/4 inch. So this project uses a lot of 1/4 inch either cutting or scoring, so that makes it easy, I think. Once I have 5 of these. I need 5 of these. So as I fold it, I'm going to score it just to make sure that I'm training the paper to be in the right position. And these are going to make the spine of the book. I'm just showing you here how to go ahead and use your bone folder, use your fingers, get that nice and square. As I said, you'll need 5 of these. Now we're going to glue these. Remember to keep your pocket at the top. So you want to have the area that has the pocket at the top, just like that. Then you'll take one of these spine sections and glue it to the edge of your paper. All right, this is basically the edge that doesn't have the 2 flappy pieces of paper. I don't know how else to explain it. But if you look at my photo or my video here, hopefully you can see what I'm talking about. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and keep gluing these together one by one, right on top of each other, checking to make sure that our pocket is at top. And as you see, I am gluing with my art glitter glue along the spine. I guess the spine of the book is what it's called. And that's making 1/4 inch areas so that if you do stuff this mini album full of photos or souvenir paper items, you'll have room for expansion. So it's not going to be busting the spine of your mini album. I'm just going along here and getting these lined up. You want to make sure you line it up straight. The straighter the better. It will turn your project, it'll make sure that your project turns out a lot better if you keep it very straight. So keep checking your spine, making sure that you've got it even. And I sometimes have to add a little bit more glue after the fact, just because I didn't get it in the right spot. And this is the way it opens then once you have everything glued together. Okay, now we have to work on the cover. The cover is chipboard, and it's going to be 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. So I just have some chipboard here. This was recycled from, I think, a scrapbook pad, a 12 by 12 scrapbook pad of paper. I use those sometimes for my chipboard or my cardboard. I've also used cereal boxes, but this is a little bit sturdier. Once I have these trimmed down to 6 1/4 by 6 1/4, I'm just going to go ahead and glue the square to another piece of my light pink paper. You could pick other colors if you'd like, but I'm keeping all of my covers and my interior page the same color. So we've got a front cover and a back cover. And then we're just going to trim the corners, trim a little bit off the edge. You need about 1 inch border all around. It's not an exact science for me. And then you trim the corners. That way you can fold the paper over the cardboard. And I had to take off a little bit more off the corner. This, you want to make sure that you use your bone folder, get this as nice and flat as possible, and then glue it down. So far, so good. We're having success with our project. Everything's coming together nicely. By the way, I watched this project on another YouTube channel. I watched Tina Zink create this album, and she watched Rosa Kelly create this album. So we're borrowing from each other. I just wanted to say that this was not my original design, but I am making it my own with the Passport to Paris digital kit. Now, I just trimmed a piece of paper, and the size I trimmed that was 6 1/4 by 4 inches. Then you're going to take that and you're going to score it at 1 inch, and you're going to score it at 3 inch, and then you're going to score it at every 1/4 inch in between. So 6 1/4 inches by 4 inches, score it at 1 inch, score it again at 3 inch, and then score it at every 1/4 inch in between. That's going to give you the cover for the spine. Now I've gotten this stylus tool. I'm just using that to help my paper curve a little bit, because you do want it to be curved for the spine of the book. And I'm just going to show you here. I've got some of the paper from the card kit, the digital kit, and I have printed it out on glossy photo paper. I think it makes it look really pretty. Plus I have a lot of it, because every time I used to buy a print cartridge for my Canon printer, they would send me free paper. Now you can see here I really enhanced and enlarged the rose that's in the corner of the digital paper, and that's my front cover. And then the inside is a piece of the digital paper printed on that glossy photo paper. This is my back cover. I'm going to use the newsprint that came from the digital kit for the inside, and on the outside I have that glossy photo paper with the digital kit paper. But I made a little mistake here. I should have waited until I put the cover over my spine before I put the cover and the back cover papers on. So you'll see here that I'm explaining how to adhere the spine to your last flap of your little square spine pieces. I don't know what they're called, you guys. I'm not a bookmaker. But then I realized that when I go to put the spine cover on top of this, that I'm actually going to cover up some of the cover. And I don't want to cover up the cover. I mean, it would be just fine, I'm sure. I don't think that many people would notice, but I noticed. So what I do is I go ahead and cover up the spine with this spine cover piece. And then I'm going to cover the original piece of paper that I used to cover my book with another piece. All right, so here we go. We're taking our spine cover piece. I don't know what it's called. It's just the rounded backing. And then you've got your gussets inside there. Okay, and it looks actually fine, but I went ahead and I printed off another piece. It's not as close up. It's not as close up, but it still is close up from the original digital paper. And then I have to cover the back cover too, just because that's like OCD, and I'm just trimming this to 6 1/4 by 6 1/4. Really, it probably wouldn't have made much of a difference in the grand scheme of things, but it was just like one of those things where I couldn't believe I messed it up. I had already made one album and I thought I knew what I was doing, but that's okay. That's how it goes in the craft room. Sometimes there are mistakes made. All right, so from the digital kit, I made a bunch of smaller cutouts, and some of them are full 6 1/4 by 6 1/4 because I plan to use these inside for my pages. And some of them are smaller, but I have a variety here. Some of them are printed out on the photo paper and some are just printed out on regular paper. But all of them look really great. This is a very detailed set of images and very pretty end product here, as you're going to see. So I'm just sort of scoping it out here. This is usually how I do an album. I'll just kind of lay it out, like what pieces do I want to put on which sections. And some of them I leave blank because I figure I have things from my stash that I can add in. So like, for example, I have stamp sets with the Eiffel Tower and different things that I'm going to be bringing into this project. And I'll show you those later in the video when it comes time for me to fill up my pages. But I know for sure I want this to be on the inside of page 1. And I know I want this to be on that flap of page 1. So I go ahead and I put those down right away. And I think that's a great way when you first open it to see. And then I have some pattern paper from my stash too that I pull in because I think it matches very well. So I use some of that too. And this is what I'm doing. I'm looking at this pattern paper, which I think because the flowers are peach, I think this peachy orange pattern paper set goes very well. There's also a lot of pinks in it and purples, so altogether it makes for a nice matching pattern paper to go with the digital kit. And then I'm just going to start gluing these down. And I do have my timer sped up, sort of on fast forward. But this does end up being a little bit of a longer video just because there's so many pages in this book. Now for this page, this is the back. I'm going to grab a piece of pattern paper and I'm going to put some of the elements from the digital kit right inside. So these are the postage stamps. I'm just trimming them down, basically taking off the edge that looks like a postage stamp. And then there's a little postcard, but I'm going to use this bill of sale instead. It's so cute. It looks like it's from a chimney sweep because it has little images of chimney, rake, and brush or broom. So I thought that's probably supposed to represent a chimney sweep. And then I grabbed this pattern paper, which actually has greens and pinks in it. It looks really nice, I think. I'm sorry that my book is a little bit off camera here. I tried to pull it back down into view. And then I go ahead and adhere these with my beacon glue. So you'll see me using two different types of glues in the video. I use Beacon 3-in-1, and then I use art glitter glue. Depends on which one I grab first. I like them both. And this is a 3D embossing folder. It says Bonjour, and it has a picture of the Eiffel Tower. So what I did was I went ahead and ran that through my die cutting machine with this cream colored paper. Now I'm using some Catherine Pooler inks to ink blend. And this first color that I'm using is Party Dress. And it looks really red on camera, but it's actually a real bright pink. So I'm going to next grab, I believe, the purple. And so this is Flirty Fuchsia. It's a nice red violet. It goes so well with the party dress. And then my final color is the blue, Something Borrowed. And it gets a little dark on that one side, but it's okay because I'm going to take some water and drop some water drops over top. And this Catherine Pooler ink is water reactive ink, so it's actually going to lighten that up a bit. And I just have a piece of laminated cardstock graph paper that I'm ink blending on because I'm trying to keep my mat clean. If I had my glass media mat, this is me splashing water, by the way. If I had my glass media mat, I would have just ink blended directly onto that, but I didn't want there to be a glare. Okay, so here we are, and I'm going to show you then here I've got the different things that I'm going to put in my album, the different things that I have stamped off camera. That you saw was like a butterfly panel with the Eiffel Tower. This is a butterfly collage card that Nancy sent to me, my friend Nancy from Nancy Stamps. So I put that in there instead of just, and I have the same stamp, but instead of that, I used something that she gave me, which looks really great in here. This is a set from Stampin' Up. I'll have everything linked below in the description box. And it has a bunch of dies as well, which I got some of my words from this die set, but this says Merci, and it's really cool, I think. So we've got the pretty butterflies, and I'm not sure who makes this stamp. It was in my stash. I didn't have a name on it. And we've got a pink oval, and then we've got the Eiffel Tower and black silhouette. And then from the from the Paris, it's called Parisian Beauty by Stampin' Up. From those dies, I took the word amore or merci, one of them, and I used that, basically I used both words multiple times, but here I'm just showing you the dies. So I've got a detailed cutout of the Eiffel Tower, a silhouette of the Eiffel Tower, two words, a little fleur de lis, and then another swirly swirl thing. So this is from Blue Night Rubber Stamp. This is a background scripty word stamp. I used that on cream colored cardstock. Okay, this butterfly is also from Blue, this one with the pretty butterflies that I stamped in the three colors is also from Blue Night Rubber Stamp. And I stamped that in purple, red, and pink. So Flirty Fuchsia, Rocking Red, and Party Dress. I also have this set of black butterfly stickers that I'm going to use. And then I've got the same scripty word stamp from Blue Night Rubber Stamp, and I stamped that in black. So I'm going to do another silhouette with the Eiffel Tower. This one I put some words on it from the sentiment from Scrapping Up and a little fleur-de-lure. This is from Technique Junkies. That's the one that I said my friend Nancy sent me the card. So that was a really pretty set, and she did all the coloring and ink blending. I just took advantage of it and put it in my mini album. There we have the Eiffel Tower again. There we have the scripty words. That's a stamp with the Eiffel Tower, which I just fussy cut from the Stampin' Up set, and the word inspire, which is from another Stampin' Up set that I'm going to show you here in a second. So that's going to go on that flap. And then here I have an embossing folder of, it's called Old Paris Map. It's by Cuttlebug. And I ink blended on top of that. And then I have the word adventure. I have this real pretty sticker that I got. It's supposed to be a sticker that you put on like soap bottle or something. So if you make your own soaps or something. But I use both of those stickers with this mini album. It turned out really nice. I use a lot of distress ink to distress the edges of my different components, and I'm just showing you I have a sponge dauber, and I'm going around the edge of this, which is from the digital kit, Passport to Paris. Just going around the edges with the sponge just to make it look a little bit more vintage. And it is vintage photo ink, distress ink, not distress oxide. Even on my photo paper, which that's what this Eiffel Tower sort of at sunset is printed on. It's really a cool image. Looks like it might have been a postcard or something that people would send out from Paris back in the day. Yep, so that's how you do the ink blending. Okay, I've got a lot going on this section. I've got my couple here. They're going to be placed on top of that 3D embossing folder that I showed you earlier with the Bonjour and the Eiffel Tower. That's the one I ink blended. And then there's a couple with an umbrella. The sentiment says together is the perfect place to be, from Silhouette Scenes. And then there's a bunch of dies that I bought. It doesn't come with it. You buy the dies separately. But that's where I got the word forever and adventure and inspire. That's where I got my word dies. It also came with like a branch and a dandelion, which I didn't use. So that picture of the Eiffel Tower on the left, that is a stamp. It's a red rubber stamp from Technique Junkies. And I'm showing you here the map 3D embossing folder. The one that I used on the page previous. And I just ink blended that with with purple and blue and some pink. Okay, there's this stamp Eiffel Tower. It's called Collage Eiffel. I'll have everything linked below as far as the stamps that I use. That stamp there is the same one that I used earlier. It's from Blue Night Rubber Stamp. The only difference is I used the pink, purple, and red inks. That panel on the left, I created that myself using the elements from the Stamping Up set. And then the one on the right, the background is from Technique Junkies. It's Dragonfly Collage. So now that's how I usually that is usually how I design my albums. I go ahead and figure out what I want to put where. And then I get everything lined up and ready to be glued. And that's my last step, is gluing everything together. Oh, I forgot about this one. It's another really pretty butterfly background stamp from Technique Junkies. I have this little plastic container where I keep like little extra bits and bops from the different stamp sets and dies that I'm using. So I'm just showing you that sometimes I pull from this stash to finish off my album. So I just spilled it everywhere. But sometimes I do a little add-on here and there. I'm going to show you a little bit of how I assemble. So I've got this card sent to me by my friend Nancy Stamps. I'm going to trim the back. And I'm just using my scissors just to trim that down. I'm going to grab some glue and just glue that directly to the page. So think about that, folks. If you have friends that send you cards, which I do, I'm very fortunate. I have a lot of friends that are friends with me through YouTube and on Facebook who are card makers, and I love getting their cards. And I think they'll like it if I can repurpose their cards. Sometimes they'll send them without signing them. They'll just put like a little note on the side, and they're expecting me to like share that card with somebody else, like pay it forward. But sometimes they do sign it, and if they do, that's great. And this card that Nancy made me, I probably would have hung on to it and just kept it in with all the other cards that she sent me. But I love seeing it get new life. It just looks perfect in this little mini album. Okay, so now I've got this oval, cream colored oval. I'm going around it with Vintage Photo Distress ink and a sponge dauber. I'm doing the same thing with this background, which I stamped using black ink. This background stamp is from Local King Rubber Stamp. It's so pretty. It's just really pretty script. And I have used it multiple times in this album. Sometimes I stamped it with just black. Sometimes I stamped it with colored inks. But every time it looks so good. I've got the Eiffel Tower silhouette from the Stampin' Up. And I've got the word Merci from the Stampin' Up. So that's going to go on that panel. But then I thought, wait a minute, maybe I should keep it colorful on this panel, because I've got that colorful card that Nancy sent me. So maybe what I'll do is I'll use the sort of more muted on the inside. It will match better with what's on the inside. So that's what I end up doing. And sometimes I do that. I'll change my mind as I'm creating. I think that's only natural. So we've got this real pretty butterfly background stamp. It's from Local King Rubber Stamp. It's got all kinds of real pretty butterflies and words. So it's got the best of both worlds. It's got words and butterflies. I'm just ink blending it with ink that's on my brush from when I blended the 3D embossing folder earlier. I'm also ink blending this little tag that came with the digital kit, and it's pink ink, and then the word amour, which I believe means love in French, but I'm not sure. So then I thought, well, it'd be really nice to have a butterfly element sort of on top of this panel because it's so colorful. And so what I did was I die cut a piece of heart-shaped foil, and I used this real pretty pink foil that I have from Tim Holtz. It's a foil cardstock. Oh, by the way, I'm also ink blending the edges of this butterfly with the purple, which would be the Flirty Fuchsia. Oh, sorry, Serenade. I've got my inks mixed up. I'm ink blending this with Serenade from Catherine Pooler. This is from her new Date Night line of inks. And it's a beautiful dye-based ink. If you're not familiar with Catherine Pooler inks, they're fabulous. They have multiple good uses, including stamping and ink blending and you name it. They go a long way. I'm just bending sort of like the wings of the butterfly just to give it a 3D effect. Even though I know once I shut the book, the wings will go back down. But it still looks really cool. Now I bring in the foil heart and I adhere the butterfly to that. It's like a rose gold foil from Tim Holtz. And I went ahead and I die cut the heart. Okay, you'll get to see that in a minute. So here we are. We're getting towards the end of the video. This is the final flip through of all the pages. This will go pretty quickly. I have it on fast forward. Again, this is what we started with. Our digital kit from Tailor-Made Cards for You. I put that sticker on the front. It's sort of a 3D sticker. We've got pages from the digital kit, Passport to Paris. And then we have the other panel that I created using stuff from my stash. You saw me working on this in quite a bit. That's where the heart is. The heart is underneath the butterfly. And then I have on the inside panels, some from my stash. I also have papers from the digital kit on the inside, including that ticket that says Paris. This paper is from the digital kit. Both of these are from the digital kit. And then when you open it up, I've got stamped Eiffel Tower and then the sticker from that set I showed you earlier, and then the street map. Some more on the inside. You can see the papers from the kit. We've got the 3D embossing folder with the Eiffel Tower and the couple, and then I put that Eiffel Tower cut out with a heart behind it. That came from the digital kit, and the paper on the back is from the digital kit. Thanks so much for watching. I forgot to mention about the Crafters Castle Challenge blog. If you're not familiar, please check out the Crafters Castle Challenge blog. Every month it is Anything Goes, and the winner will receive a prize. And don't forget to look in my description box below, where you'll find more information about the other people who are on the design team and the projects that they made with their products from Tailor-Made Cards for You. Thanks so much for watching. Have a hopeful day. Bye-bye.